Okay, all right, well, let's get started, everyone. Morning. First, I'd like to draw your attention to our poster we put up. Carla Colby, our tourism coordinator, put that together for me. It's got our new mission statement on there, and I'm gonna have one hanging in the Board of Supervisors as well. And also like to coordinate with maybe Ron Peters to get one of his in our conference room, and we'll put one of ours in his conference room. Anyway, you'll see our new mission statement also. Fulton County IDA's mission is to drive economic growth and prosperity by preparing shovel-ready sites for development, including commercial enterprise, diverse housing options, workforce development, and tourism. So that's our new mission statement. First order of business is to approve the minutes to the November 18th meeting. They were sent out last week, I believe. Any discussion on those?
I'll make a motion.
Mike? Joe? Simeon?
Yeah.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? On to the budget report. Within your agenda.
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
Go ahead, Chef.
All right, you'll see that, we did receive, the $1,000 application fee from the Weston Group. This past month, you'll see the investment earnings, for our, T-bills in the insured cash sweep. Under the expenditures, the executive director salary, as well as the monthly payment to the IGA's website. And at the bottom, you see the total investments. Relatively light month on the budget. Are there any questions, comments on the budget?
The website, just looking at what we budgeted, we just overestimated for the
Yeah.
year.
Yep.
We don't have a lump sum at the end.
No, we just, I think, maybe the year, last year, I think it was the same number. Bumped it up, but that was just a budget item, so we'll be under that.
That's how we're.
All right. Okay. We'd like to make a motion to approve the budget report.
I'll make the motion.
So Gillis, second, Fitzgerald.
Yeah, actually, it's Greg.
Oh, Greg.
Great.
Okay.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
No. Okay. Motion passes. On to the committee reports. Our audit committee, and Mr. Miller reviewed the monthly bank reconciliations, I believe.
I did, and I got to go back and review Mike's work as well.
Yes, you did.
Because Carol sent me 2 months.
Yes.
Everything is in order and balanced nicely and reconciled correctly.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, moving on to our other reports, Mr. Roll.
We passed the budget. The average tax rate increase was 7.68%, but as you folks might know, equalization rates are all over the map in this county. So the rates are different. I believe Kent's Town was the winner with the highest percentage increase this year in Caroga. Congratulations.
Thank you, Aaron.
And that's pretty much my report for today.
Okay. All right, CRG, we have Kent Parrish. And you have your report, Pat.
Yep. Sorry, it's kind of long and a lot of items. I'll just quickly go through them. The first one was about a Johnstown startup business that was looking for a loan, pretty small loan, but unfortunately, we were not able to approve that loan. There's too many credit risks involved, and it's one of the few times I've seen one declined. But we did encourage them to come back in 6 months once they've got their business going, and if they're stable, we might consider. Second one is number 2, we're providing support to, or we did provide support to a Johnstown hospitality business. They were seeking a $200,000 loan, and they were successful in getting it. About that. New York State, we had an RFP come in again, kind of similar to last month. They were looking for an existing building we just didn't have. And so we weren't able to submit anything on that. Number 4, we got 2 CFA applications in, and we think they're going to be awarded next month. We'll see what happens, but one is for the Kingsborough Commons property for a highest best use study. And the other one's for the Weston Group for their building expansion in Crossroads Business Park. Tryon, I know Scott's been working with Ron on this, the whole power and substation issues with that park, and there's been progress, just still a ways to go with that, but we're optimistic we're gonna get that resolved. Number 6, we had a joint CRG City of Gloversville Brownsfield community outreach session. And it was at the Globe Theater. About 40 people showed up. I was kind of impressed with that. No objections, all supported public. Number 7, we met with Empire State Development Go Semi team. We just like to keep in front of them because as this Jonestown Commerce Park property becomes ready, we'll need their help, and so we just keep talking to them. Number 8, we met with, we've got meetings with housing developer for Johnstown housing site, talking about financing, EPA regulations, that kind of stuff to keep that moving along. Number 9, continue working with the Manufacturing Association of Central New York and New York Design on the workforce program we've got going. I can't tell you a lot about it, but I just know at our last meeting, we've got one program that's in planning right now where students are going to be able to design their own microchip, and have it actually built and then be able to use it. So I think that'll be a really rewarding thing for students to be involved with. Met with some small businesses regarding financings. We still in process with that. Number 11, continue working with major county employer on their workforce issues. We're just really focused on helping build candidate pipelines for them through different approaches. Number 12, working to continue to work on housing development transactions in both Johnstown and Gloversville. 13, we're working with Mohawk Valley Edge, it's an economic development organization for Oneida and Otsego counties, to get small suppliers in front of the large high-tech firms like Micron. And personally, I think that's a super important one, just because given our location, like we've talked about, getting more businesses that are involved with the chip manufacturers in this area would be fantastic. And then finally, number 14, we're still working through the grant process with Empire State Development. Everything's moving along, but it just takes time, probably be a couple more months before the grant money is deposited. So that's the report. Any questions or comments?
Yeah, on number 3,
Yep.
do you know approximately what size building they were looking for?
I don't know that. I know they were looking for like high ceilings, like 30-foot ceilings. Scott, do you remember how they've been doing?
It may be one of the ones that's in our agenda toward the end there. Let's see, the project cluster, 60,000 square foot.
Okay.
If that's the one.
Yeah, I just wonder if they're looking for a smallish one or if they're looking for,
Yeah.
100,000 plus or 50,000 or less. Just
I believe it was 60,000. On number 4, does everybody know where the Kingsborough Common site is? Okay, it's the site near the roundabout near Walmart, and CRG has the option on that site.
Yeah.
And that's part of the county's
the
housing
Next to
strategy.
Next to Burger King.
yeah, that's where Foothills Methodist Church tried to start. Yeah.
Yep. So. All right.
Any updates on any of the DRI projects in downtown Gloversville?
I just know some of them are still working on their financing, but a lot of projects will have started this fall and will start next spring. So I know there's a lot going to be happening over the next 12 months. We are I think the city is doing quite well in terms of the timeframes. They're ahead of a lot of cities that got grants a year or two before them. So it's moving along well, but it always takes way longer than you want it to. But I think overall, most projects are poised to move forward right now with financing.
Joe, I think there's a chart of some sort that's been provided where each project, it shows where they are in the process. So you can reach out to CRG probably and get that chart if you want to see everything.
Yeah, there's a one pager she's got. It's color coded that shows where everything stands.
Okay. Ken, on number 12, that's fairly vague. What, can you elaborate on that at all?
I'm not sure I can, Greg.
That's fine.
It's just good to know what's going on, but I think at this point, they're still sort of in process and it's hard to talk about them too much. Scott, if you got any insights from your exposure to it?
No,
I'm just curious. I mean, these are developments or?
They're housing, yeah, they're multi-unit developments.
Okay. That's really kind of what I was getting at. Not specifically addresses and.
They're definitely, housing developments, not a single home.
Okay, thank you.
okay, and that's, Kenton, you are, as of next year, you are off the CRG board, right?
I am
Going into retirement?
turned out, yeah.
Okay,
Leslie Olson, right?
pleasure working with you.
That's been great working with you in this group. I feel like just the way you opened the meeting up this morning, Scott, with these posters and everything, it's just great to see the cooperation and the support each organization's giving each other. So it's been fun to watch it happen. It's been great. Thank you.
Okay. All right, moving on to old business. Sounds like a broken record here. Nexus Renewables. At our last meeting, I reached out to you and say, what do you want to do? I've not been able to make contact with any of the reps, Nexus Renewables. The consensus of this board was to continue to try to do so, and you wanted confirmation that they had no interest. So I sent emails back to Adnan Wahid and Keith Sandor. Still have not heard anything back. I also went to their website and tried to complete the contact us information, and it basically gave an error. So if you're doing a Google search, it says it's still in business, but Nexus is still in business, but so I'm kind of running out of options on them. But I continue to try, and in your circle, if you ever hear of anything, let me know. So that's the report on that. Okay, under our T-bills, sent out an email in regards with the new rates for T-bill number 1. Now, that did expire on November 28th and basically just sitting there. You can see the rates, and I didn't really think that there was a full consensus by the board as to where to go with it. So I said, well, we'll just hold off and we'll discuss it at the next meeting. Also enclosed, as Mike's looking at it in your agenda or your packet, is our T-bill report, which has the dollar amounts. On the back, you can see for each T-bill where the market value maturity is, etc. So you can see what's in there. I'll open up the discussion as to how we would like to proceed with T-bill number 1.
I'll just speak quickly. I sent back an email just saying the highest was the 6 month, but I thought, at less than 0.10%, no one knows what the rates are going to be like. And I think they were trying to get some insight from either Dan or Mike as to where we might be in a year's time, because they always have the crystal ball. But I just thought it would be my best recommendation would do the 12-month one. We were only down 1/10%, but at that point, we still have a decent rate. My thought.
Yeah, I think the rates will go down, so I concur with that.
Yeah, but we're meeting today in the
Yeah.
bar.
Are you going?
Yeah, no, I didn't like today.
He's at this meeting.
Yeah.
You would have
Jumped it for him here, yeah. I just think rates are coming down a little bit, so locked in at 3.50 and
I would concur with that.
That's fine with me.
Anybody else?
Mr. Chairman,
12 months is fine.
Okay. So the motion is to renew T-bill, number 1 for 12 months at 3.505%. Somebody like to make that motion, or is that Joe?
motion, yeah.
Joe Simeon,
I'll second.
2 seconds. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, on to our website research project. I do have a very rough draft that Betsy sent to me yesterday afternoon of the second portion of this project. Okay. So I patched this out. I literally just printed that this morning. Right. And I'll go over some of the highlights that I just noted. Okay. So as you recall, when we engaged Betsy Emery, the first phase of this project was for her, okay, to take a look and do at each of the 4 websites, Workforce, County, Tour, 5, Tourism, CRG, and IDA, and do an audit of those to see where they overlap, okay, and see if there's consistent messaging, et cetera. Based upon that report and using AI, okay, she created this unifying economic development and tourism web experience, Fulton County, New York. Okay, that was the first component of this report. Okay, and that report said, based upon her findings, a single, what she's calling a portal, okay, would be the best option to go. The second component, in order to validate that, was the customer development interviews, if you recall, okay? And that's what this is. This is the customer development interview piece. And again, this is a very rough draft. You just got it. So as I said, basically the purpose and background was what I just went over. In that original report, organize content by action, not agency, serve as a central entry point, and be AI ready. And I think that this whole project has really been impacted by AI. I think when we first started that, I remember the meeting with Betsy last year during our monthly meetings. And she says, well, AI is coming out, this chat GT, all of this stuff is becoming more and more prevalent and people are using it more and more and more. And I remember her say, like, every week she's attending trainings on AI. And then as we got into this research project, looking at our websites, she was using AI tools. And so I think to some extent that slowed down how she was approaching this, but anyway. So again, the second component with the customer development interviews, this was to validate and refine what the first component was. Now, if you look on the second page here on the methodology, okay, you'll see the 5 components. And interviews follow the customer development approach. Instead of asking whether people like the portal concept, we ask them to describe actual tasks, frustrations, and workarounds when they try to do business, hire, develop project, or plan travel in Fulton County. Okay, their feedback is treated as qualitative evidence, either validating, challenging, or refining elements of the original portal design from phase 1. So some of the insights, okay, and this is where we'll just go over these real quick. Across all 4 buckets, several themes showed up repeatedly. Number 1, everyone starts from intent, not agency, right? Number 2, the system is fragmented and relationship dependent. Okay, many successful outcomes happen only because someone already knows who to text, right? Or who to make contact with, me, Ron, Carla, whomever. Number 3, websites cover the base, but people still feel lost, okay? Number 4, workforce is now the number 1 economic development issue. Okay. Number 5, AI and modern UX are expectations, not luxuries. And UX is user experience. Okay. Again, it's now, it's not, they're not luxuries anymore. And then this one I found very interesting. The county should be the business center. Multiple interviewees argue that the county should own the role of neutral navigator and connector with municipalities and partner organizations, retaining their specialized roles behind the scenes. Okay. Again, you can go through all of the other components of this, but those were the 6 key takeaways, I guess, from this. And I did send this to Ron yesterday as well for his review. And I will send it to the chamber and the other folks as well. So Betsy has completed 13 of the CDI interviews to date, and she has 2 more to do this week. As you expected, it's somewhat difficult trying to corral people to do the interview. Greg did one. Greg, how long did it take? I mean, was it
20 minutes?
20 minutes? Okay. But she has 2 more to do. Once those are done, she will refine that report and then put it all into one nice package for us that I will then circulate to the team and members, and I guess we'll see where we go from there. If you recall this, I asked Betsy to give us an estimate on the cost of what this portal may be, and it was $50,000. So it's not pennies, that's for sure. So there is going to be a cost. And I think the next step is, we'll gather the executive team or something like that. And then we'll just, I guess, kind of come up with a direction. As you know, we did add some money in our budget for next year to work on this. But we'll see where it goes.
So just for information, a couple of years ago, we did an RFP to just redevelop the college website, and the costs that we got, the cheapest we got was 50,000, and it went all the way up to 150,000. So it's sticker shock, your initial sticker shock.
Yeah.
It's in line.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's only one website, this would be
Correct.
creating the portal, and then under the contracts with the CRG and the IDA, doing what she would need to do as part of this project to our respective websites, right? As part of the audit was, not sure how we would work in the county's website, or Workforce Solutions, or, obviously the tourism website, we have a different vendor for that. So.
And so it's saying that the county should be the main backer of this, correct? So.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
The role. What do you think about that?
Your checkbook out?
Yeah, we'll see. The county hasn't budgeted for any of this, that's for sure. As a matter of fact, the county no longer utilizes Betsy. We use our IT department.
Mhm.
So, I don't know if they would have the bandwidth to do it, but, I will, once the executive committee and all the boards that are part of this, meet and kind of come up with a strategy, I will then take it to the board of supervisors through our committee system next year to talk about this. I touched on it during a few of our meetings, but not a lot. Again, we'd have to have their buy-in, especially if this is what, basically saying that the county should be the main site, more or less, the way I read it. So.
But we have to have vision as to, are these websites bringing customers into us, or is it,
Right.
just advertising, fancy advertising?
Right.
So I've always said we need to measure our bang for our buck, and I don't know how to measure that. So.
Well, right now, it seems as though, based upon the CDI interviews, that we have a fragmented structure. It's difficult to find information quickly. And there's overlapping information. They do find it. So I think that's the takeaways that I have right now. And I think that's why Betsy was recommending this portal, which would streamline everything. But again, I haven't had a discussion with with her about this yet, but I'm just trying to find the connection, this portal with the county's website. I don't know what that connection is right now.
Is there a timeline as to when this could all be up and running from Betsy? Like, if we agree on a number.
Yeah, if we were,
Somehow it's gonna be funded.
yeah, once we engage her,
Yeah.
I mean, it's a 5 to 6 month process. It's not going to be a quick process. That's for sure.
Okay, I mean, just.
Yeah. If we are going to go in this direction, there's gonna be a lot of coordination, right? I mean, especially if we're gonna bring in workforce solutions, which we really didn't have, our tourism website. So
AI is driving changes it seems like every day.
Why don't we just hire AI?
You gotta define its parameters when you ask it a question.
Scott, was there any discussion with her about if cost is a barrier, is there a way to do this like in 2 phases?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think that there would be, for sure. I mean, again, she was taking a stab at the cost.
Yeah.
I think we can definitely do that in phases. I think the first thing is getting everybody coordinated that this is the direction we want to proceed. If it takes a year, it takes a year.
Is there a scheduled meeting? I mean, have you guys coordinated?
No.
Yes.
We're waiting for the final.
Yeah, we're waiting for the final report to be done, and then at that point, we'll reconvene that joint executive committee. Maybe some new members on it now because I won't be here anymore. But unless we get it done by the end of this month or something, which that's feasible, yeah. So
We can make him an honorary committee member.
that's right. And that's
Lifetime.
yeah. So, anyways, that's the update. And again, once I do receive that final, I'll call it the final draft report. We'll definitely send that around to everyone. Well, I think Mike is right. AI is changing constantly.
Yeah.
I mean, AI has changed Google Analytics,
Yeah.
so it's, yeah. Okay. All right, moving on to our Project Hill Creek Preserve application. On page 5, we're gonna kind of skip to page 6, actually. This is the 64 unit senior housing project in the city of Johnstown. As you recall, last month we had Sumit Gupta here to discuss his proposal for a revised pilot structure. Originally, he had proposed $500 a unit. And then based upon the way HCR, Homes and Community Renewal, is calculating incomes, all right, wasn't that correct, Tara? That he needed to change the pilot structure to $250 a unit for the 64 units. So he went over that presentation last month with us. Consensus of this board was that it was acceptable. We had Mayor Prott in attendance. She put in her 2 cents and also agreed to that concept. Tom Roll, speaking on behalf of the county, said you couldn't speak on behalf of the county, but he understood the situation. I went back to the superintendent of Johnstown School District after our meeting. We discussed that pilot structure as well, because it was a change when I first presented it to her at 500 a unit. If you recall, they were bringing in a not-for-profit called ICANN. I don't know why this keeps doing that. I'm not sure. And she found a lot of value in that. So she found it to be acceptable as well, for the pilot structure. So based upon that, I think all the taxing jurisdictions are comfortable enough. But this proposed pilot structure is a deviation from the standard IDA pilot. So, based upon, we did receive the application. And the total benefits, will just be through the pilot from real property tax exemptions is $74,312. It is required that we hold a public hearing, which we will be scheduling that today. That will be our action. On page 7, the pilot structure will be our typical lease back. I have developed the project number as 1701-25-03A. And based upon the project review criteria in section 8 of the application, states that the IDA board shall review the project application and utilize the following specific criteria, evaluating and determining whether to provide financial incentives to the proposed project. So based upon the application that was provided, will the project create or retain jobs on page 7? The project will create 5 new full-time jobs within 2 years. The project will also retain 1 full-time job, and the project will create 203 construction jobs. And you can see on page 7, the average salary and hourly rate for the new jobs created, as well as the salary for the 1 job to be retained, $88,000. The management, $60,000. Professional services, $47,000. Administrative, $54,000. Maintenance, $55,000. Independent contractor, $55,000. And community manager, $65,000. Community manager, I believe, is the ICANN. What is the total private sector investment? $27,856,264. Turning on to the next page, 8, an estimate on local labor to be utilized during the construction, estimating 40 from each Fulton and Montgomery counties, and then 123 outside of Fulton and Montgomery counties. Again, this property has been municipally owned and tax exempt for many years. Prior to the city of Johnstown owning it, the county owned it prior to that. So it's been tax exempt for a long time. And based upon the answers provided in the project review criteria, do you determine that this is in keeping with the IDA's mission? I guess I'll open it up for any questions on the information that was submitted within the application. Then any further discussion?
So it says the real property tax exemptions is $74,000. Is that?
I'll let you answer that one.
That's the comparison from the real property tax law 581A that they're eligible for. So this project would either be eligible for an exemption under New York state law or through a pilot. There's no scenario that this project would be required to pay 100% taxes.
Okay.
Because they automatically qualify for the 581A.
The 74,312 is 1 year?
No, that's over
the 30 years.
yeah, but that's the comparison between
What they could get in what we offer. So if they go with us, they're gonna save $74,000.
Right, that's what I said in the
Yeah.
application.
yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Should we have how much they're gonna save total by, you know what I mean? Like, are they gonna save hundreds of thousands of dollars over the course of the year?
That calculation, we didn't do that calculation, but we can do it and give an example, so we have that information for you. Over the course of if they had to pay 100% taxes, is that what you're saying?
Yes, yeah, basically.
Because that's.
You know, how much they're totally gonna save.
Given.
I mean, I can't even ballpark because I don't know the
State,
tax
This
rates.
is what we're truly getting,
Right.
Yeah.
because they would, if we do nothing, they could still
Go to the
save,
state,
yeah.
They could still pay under the real property tax law 581A. And so that is also through a pilot agreement, but the pilot agreement is directly with the taxing jurisdictions. And then that works out. So, sometimes in that case, they do lock into certain numbers as well, just because the formula that's set out in that law is pretty involved. So it takes a lot of time to go through that, but the project itself qualifies for that regardless. So, I mean, we can do like a ballpark of
Yeah,
what
that's
it would
all,
be.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, we can provide that for the next meeting.
Like if it was it's kind of hard to do the example because it would either be like a market rate apartments versus senior affordable housing. So it's different.
And it would depend on what the assessor would
Right.
assess it for.
Yeah, I mean, we can estimate that. That's what we do for the other examples when we calculate it. So we can definitely estimate it and just get you an idea.
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah.
Do that for the next meeting after the public
After the
hearing
hearing.
that.
We can have it before, like, we can have it
Yeah.
before the hearing, so in case that question comes up or.
And they're only looking for the pilot on the real property tax exemptions, not the sales tax, because under the HCR program, they're already getting sales tax exemption.
So they're going to get those
We're gonna get
exemptions
them through.
regardless they're just not using the IDA to get those exemptions. So that it's still a benefit to them. And so that'll be in our overall, that'll be shown as an overall public incentive that they're receiving. It's just that they're not getting it through the IDA.
I think am I correct to say it's important to note because this is a affordable housing project, which has restricted rent based on average income in is it the MSA? Or maybe the county, but anyway.
Yeah.
So they're restricted about how much they can charge for rent. They can't build this and then charge $1,500 a month. There's a calculation of how much they can charge and how often they can increase it. And you can't increase it like 25% a year. I think it's 8 now.
I'm not sure.
Less affordable housing, and that was an increase from what it was before. So they're restricted about how much they can charge for the entire length of their agreement with HCR.
And did I hear that was 50 years?
I think they have to report or something like that. There's some like long-term requirement, but if they default on the HCR agreements, then they will default on our agreements as well. So then they'll go back on, they won't be able to take advantage of this pilot structure if they, for whatever reason, default with HCR, and that would be very costly to them to do that. So, most companies are compliant with that, but if for whatever reason they were to default with the HCR agreements and requirements, then we would then have a default of our pilot, and then they would go back to the tax rolls and they'd be responsible for 100% tax payments. So it's not a scenario of they're going to take advantage of this and then 5 years from now say, oh, we're going to turn this into market rate and we're going to pay this extremely low pilot payment. They would not be eligible to do that any longer. In other words, we'd kick them out of our program.
I think he had mentioned last meeting, the developers 30% of their income. It can't be any higher, I guess. Maybe I think that
There are ranges.
yeah.
It can be, some are 30, some are 50, some are higher, and then some are mixed. You have to have a certain number of units at 30% of the average. You have to have a certain number at 50. The more projects I've seen lately is a mix. There's usually a specific amount set up for people with disabilities, and then there's a certain amount for people at 30%, 50%. So there would be a range and a mix.
Okay.
And usually in their, I'm going to call it funding stack, and I don't know the details of this, but they're using a low income housing tax credit, which my guess is they are, and some of this HCR money. Within that, there's going to be it's going to look like a mortgage and act like a mortgage, but if you meet the criteria, that could be forgiven. So if it's a 30-year mortgage, it's 1/30 of every amount gets forgiven every year as long as you're meeting the criteria of the program. If you don't meet, and there's an annual audit and review your financial statements, if you don't meet that and you're kicked out of the program, you've got to pay the state what that mortgage structure would actually look like. And that's kind of a simplified version of it.
And we won't move forward. We won't move forward, and they don't want to move forward unless they know they've, received the approval from
Right.
HCR. And so that could be months from now, like before this moves forward.
So there'll probably be a bank financing. There's gonna be where they're gonna syndicate the tax benefits. So a syndicator is gonna come in and sell that to somebody else. It's usually a financial institution. They take advantage because it's a tax exempt rate to help lower what they have to pay in taxes at usually the state level. But there's gonna be various levels of financing involved in this. Now, they'll also have a developer fee. They'll get probably part of that developer fee during construction, and the rest will be earned out probably over the 30 years. So they can't, to your point, it's not like they can take all the developer fee and after 5 years say, thanks for the money, we're out of here. They've got to stick with this and earn back that developer fee over a period of time.
And if they receive the HCR approval, they'll be required to provide all that information to us as to what they were awarded, what the values of those awards play out to be. And so this will be like an ongoing project, detailed information, because we've got to coordinate with them for with HCR for the closing and things like that too, to be sure, because everybody has to close the same time. So it'll be an involved process, and they will continuously provide us with the information. So it's not as if, the action item today is just to schedule the public hearing, but as we move forward, everything in an approval that you would make here would be contingent upon the receipt of the HCR approvals, the documentation, the closing of the HCR. So it's very much contingent on the process with HCR as it continues. This won't, I know this is just, the action item is just to schedule the public hearing, but even if this was the action item to approve the project, it's going to be contingent on a lot of things that are going to continuously be updated as we go through this process. And there's a possibility they aren't awarded the HCR in the first round, which then may alter their application, and we may have to revisit this. That's happened on another project I was involved in.
Which is probably likely.
Yeah.
You hardly ever get your
On your first try. Yeah. So if that occurs, we would say, well, what happened? What was the reason why the application is point based? So we would say, well, the person that put together your HCR application, what did they say were the point where you could earn more points in your next go around? Having an approved pilot would give them more points. Potentially closing on the property gives them more points. So there's different things that if they aren't awarded in the first round, that they may come back and ask us to modify so they could earn more points potentially in the second go round.
Just a quick question that can't be answered, but out of the 27 million, it seems like they're asking for a lot of assistance. How much typically would a person be coming out of pocket? Out of that 27 million, are they putting up 50% themselves, or are they looking to get
The
50%
developer?
Yeah, the developer.
They-
Just
they-
curiosity question.
It's probably in their application. We have a copy of their application, so we could probably look that up.
I'm not gonna take a guess, it's nowhere near 50%.
No, I,
So like,
Yeah.
the traditional, this was a traditional structure, they'd have 20 or 25% in. They're gonna have a little less than that, my guess, is my guess.
they could put 2.7 million and they get back something.
Funding stack.
It's a funding, there's gonna be grant, there's gonna be tax credits.
Just do business differently.
My concern is it says it's gonna create 5 full-time jobs. And I don't know if, 5 people are gonna work at a 64 unit housing complex. I think like Gloversville Housing Authority that has 250 units might have 8 people working there.
So my understanding was that some of those jobs were related to the ICANN agency that they're bringing in. Wraparound services.
I can.
That wasn't
Oh, okay.
specifically employed by the housing.
Gotcha. Okay.
That was what I heard
Mhm.
when he presented last month, but.
No, I just don't wanna, you said you're gonna create 5 jobs in
Right.
5 years, you create one. You know, is there a clawback that we get involved in and things like that? So.
So you're, so based upon the application, total private funds, 268,383. Total
Right
public
now,
fund,
calculator.
total public funds, 27,587,881.
It's ridiculous. Okay,
So,
okay, good deal.
That's business today.
yeah.
Yeah, so because he,
If you wanna do it-
I didn't have a chance to look at
That's
this.
fine, I have been there for
He
like-
added the value of the tax credits on page 13.
Getting business deal done.
Yeah, so total private funds, 268, HDR subsidy, 27,586.
Yeah.
For total,
What do you makes
27,856, 264 total investment.
And then did he add the sales tax? I asked him to add the sales tax and the mortgage tax so we could put that into the final calculations. He said he included it, but it looks like it might be on page 14.
Total tax exemptions, he doesn't have anything in there, we requested the file exemption.
There's gonna be a whole bunch of government money in this. That's where it's coming from.
Real property tax exemption, 74,312. That's all I see.
Okay, I'll take a look at it and,
He didn't give a breakdown of the funding stack, did he? Like how much he's expecting from HCR?
yeah.
How many
he included that, that's.
low income housing tax credits?
Mhm.
Yep, let's see.
I mean, it's
We
just
have-
Joe and Joe pays for where
Value was.
the equities come from. The equity is coming from New York State public agencies or low income housing tax credits, which are saleable on the open market.
So they have HCR, HTF subsidy. Low income housing tax credit, and then I'm thinking SLIHC is senior low income housing credit. And that's the 27,587.
That might be state,
Okay, that could be.
because there's a federal.
Yeah, we're looking for both, so they have to get both in order to
Okay.
move forward.
I mean, I've seen,
So they could get the state and be waiting on the federal or.
right,
Okay, he didn't break out what components of the state, federal, whatever, but.
Okay, just a question.
and what happens is those are sold, so. And they're usually sold at like, I'm gonna pick a number, 80%. So if someone's gonna buy those tax credits for 80%, so if you got $1 million low income housing tax credit, somebody might buy it for 800,000. And that goes into the project. And the difference is kind of what the tax credit purchaser is gonna that's kind of their built-in profit, so to speak.
Okay.
And what banks usually do, we don't do this, but other large money center banks do, they buy these,
Provided last
they
month.
put them in a package, and they.
No, this is his exemption on the pilot, yeah, this is what he calculated for that. But for the, that's what they picked up. No, this just talks about what he, this is his comparison from the 5.
Yeah, that's the report.
Yeah.
Went over the last one.
But we've asked them to provide the estimates because we need to show what the estimated value of public sources of funding are versus private investment when we submit the public hearing information. So we've asked him to provide that, and he did update that information. You forwarded me that email. I haven't had a chance to look through it. Yesterday was my first day back in the office. But that'll be all, set out before that hearing.
Did he give us the information of how the rental rates are gonna be set?
I'll ask him that.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
I don't know if they're all gonna be at a certain percentage of the medium income or if it's gonna be kind of staggered.
It's in this, I don't know, this is obviously part of the document, right?
Pretty sure.
It's in here, like.
My guess it's mixed.
Yeah, they usually.
I don't,
they usually are.
and even though I'm talking about this, don't think I'm nowhere near understanding the full scope of how these work.
During your second page, I thought there was a breakout, right? 30% and so on.
I mean, have we kind of gone down a rabbit hole here?
Okay, so questions for sure, yeah, fine.
I mean, we can compile all the questions. I've written them all down. I'll reach out to Smeet, ask him.
Yeah.
Let him know that we have additional questions that we want clarification on.
And we're still going to
Hold the public hearing.
hold a public hearing,
Yeah, so all this is, that's fine, I mean, hey, get your questions now answered, that's public hearing, that's all.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll move on then, I'm proposing a public hearing, on Tuesday, January 6th at 10 o'clock, right here. And, you know, in your packet, you'll see the resolution, accepting that application and, scheduling that public hearing with all the background information in the resolution.
I'll make that
Okay,
motion.
second.
Rick, Joe Simeon. Any further discussion on the motion? All in favor, say aye. Aye, opposed?
My eye was a four.
I know.
I was just a little.
Okay, well, we'll get that information ready for that public hearing and move on. Okay, project NYK Niagara. It's our project application. I left all the background information in the agenda, so obviously we're not gonna go over it all. We've already done all of that. But just in case you wanted some background information, we do have Patrick Drynan from Niagara on the Zoom. Just a couple of updates before we move on to take any actions. If you recall, I informed you that Niagara was required to go back for a site plan amendment to the Town of Perth Planning Board because they were adding a cooling tower, a water storage tank, and then the whole soils relocation, okay, from their site to the larger site. And then the location of an on-site customer-owned substation. The Town of Perth met on December 1st. They approved that site plan amendment. And the project also is required to receive an area variance from the ZBA because of the height of the cooling tower, I believe. And that meeting is scheduled for December 18th. I see no reason why that area variance would not be approved. So that's just a quick update on that. We've already gone over all of the project application information. Nothing has really changed. We reviewed that back in October prior to holding the public hearing, which we did on November 5th. There were no speakers at that public hearing. A couple of additions or changes to the proposed pilot structure. I've had several discussions with Steve Tomlinson, who's the superintendent of the Breadalton Perth Central School District, in regards obviously to the project and the pilot, back and forth with Patrick at Niagara. And the superintendent requested that Niagara consider providing a 20% upfront total value of the pilot to be paid as a host community gift. Niagara has agreed to do so. And that's kudos to Niagara for doing that. Again, when I presented this to Niagara, I presented it in a way that, listen, it's up to you. The school district is still going to be supportive of your project. This is something that greatly benefits the school district because they can use these dollars for projects that they don't have to hit tax cap or the tax dollars with. The school district is for several years now has been saving and getting some donations and things like that to spearhead a construction trades program. They have 6 small classrooms in their building right now that they have plans to reconfigure into 2, where this construction trades program would be located, as well as outfitting that, and then buying a heavy equipment simulator that the students can learn under simulation, operating heavy equipment. So it would be, general construction, plumbing, HVAC, electrical kind of trade program. I believe they have, generated only a couple $100,000 so far for that. And this would be dedicated to that project. So kudos to Niagara for stepping in and agreeing to this. Obviously, the whole project still needs to move forward before anything else happens. But so that's an update with the school district. The second taxing jurisdiction that I've had discussions with was the town of Perth. On the town pilot, obviously, town tax much lower than school district tax. But the town has requested $150,000 host community benefit gift. And what they would like to do, similar, they have an existing basketball court that's located right behind the town hall senior house, or their senior hall. And that basketball court, per the supervisor, is underutilized. So doing some brainstorming, we took a stab at taking a look at converting that existing basketball court into 3 pickleball courts. It seems to be a hot recreational activity, and particularly for seniors. And obviously being located right behind the senior center would be an asset. So I asked Environmental Design Partnership just to take a look at it, and if they've ever worked on pickleball courts, which they had. They did just a quick analysis and determined that that's about where the project would land, is around that $150,000 mark, which would also include some lighting. So anyways, that is what the town would like to do. Again, kudos to Niagara for agreeing to that. And this really all stemmed from the very first meeting that we had with our team here in Fulton County and Niagara and Albany. One of the Niagara reps said, if you have any ideas of how we can become integrated into the community, we want to do that. And from that point on, we kind of thought about that. I've always thought about it anyway. And,
has it been done in other counties or? Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's not
yeah.
We didn't create the
No,
wheel.
no, we didn't create this. But again, it was an ask. Again, all the taxing jurisdictions were going to be supportive of the project anyways, but agreed. So anyways, I think those are all great things that are happening there. And that's part of will be part of the pilot structure, and Kara can kind of discuss that when we look at the resolution. Again, this is going to be a deviation from our standard IDA pilot now, because of that. Just a couple of other updates before we go to the resolution. I revised the application for the Fast New York Track C funding that we're looking for upgrades to try on for the park itself, which would be upgrading the water pump station and the water line, and upgrading the sewer pump station and the short section of the sewer line, and then paying for a portion of the costs for the soils relocation project. Okay. Again, that is supporting Niagara. This grant funding is required to support the park. And based upon comments made by Adam Winstanley, if we're able to take those soils and level that 115 acre site The way that we've had it designed, it's gonna raise it about 24 feet. But, he believes, and then if we were able to secure the additional power to come in, which is the power up application that I submitted, this will be the number one site in the Northeast, bar none. And I first was a little bit shocked on, you're raising 24 feet. But then I thought about when we looked at some other projects for that particular larger site, where did we want the truck traffic to go? We wanted to go right on the County 158, not on 107. And you know, there's that hill there. So this is gonna greatly benefit a project to make sure trucks go on to 158, hit 29 instead of 107. So that's one big benefit for doing this project. So
Does some of that fill have to be brought in, or is it all gonna be just rearranged on site?
it's all gonna stay at Tryon.
Okay.
It's gonna go from one site, deposit it on the other, leveled, compacted, lifted, so there could be basically will be a pad site ready for development.
So is there any demolition that needed to be done of anything existing there?
Yep, part of that will be there's half a dozen concrete foundations that are still there. Those will be removed or demolished, or I'm assuming they're gonna be left in place and compacted, but that will be part of that project. But other than that, nothing structurally above ground. It's all just concrete basements, and there's some infrastructure, water lines and things like that.
You can bury building 3.
Yeah. Yeah, it would be nice to do that, but okay, so
How much, what's the amount of that grant?
oh,
Application says 1.5, or is that this is a different one?
yeah, it's a different
This is
one.
a new one.
Just 12, I was just curious.
Both is, man, it was like a $12 million house, I think. $8 million, I believe, was simply for the soils relocation. Again, we're basing it on the engineers' estimates and things because what is gonna happen, with this project, is the IDA was the applicant, obviously. We're going to be taking on these projects. Okay, so we are going to have to go through the proper bidding. This ESG grant is gonna have MWBE requirements, all of those kinds of things. So we're trying to navigate how to work with the other project going on, which would be the Niagara project, to make sure that we're not holding up their progress. So we're working on that as we speak. But then again, the water and sewer infrastructure will just take on those projects on behalf of Fulton County Sewer District number 4. And then the Glover's water improvements, because they own, as you know, the Glover Water Department owns all the water infrastructure in Tryon. So again, this has been a departmental and governmental project. And we're hopeful that we're going to hear about the Fast New York application by the end of this week or next week. Ron's on top of it, checking with his ESD contacts to see when it's going to be announced. So we're hopeful of that. I think the Power Up, which is a separate application that we've submitted per the request of ESD. Originally, we had put everything through Fast New York. They said, pull everything power related out and put it under Power Up. So we submitted through Power Up, basically just a letter of intent right now to apply. And then once they say, go ahead and proceed, we'll move forward with that one. That one's a $20 million ask or something. That's total project was 30-something million for both hands. All right. So moving on to the adopted resolution, and I will turn this one over to Kara, and she can talk about the deviation and discuss the resolution with you. It's attached in your agenda.
So the resolution, as you go through it, section 1 is the findings. Do you guys have it?
Should have seen on your bill.
And so Part H, it indicates this is the seeker determination that you're adopting the town of First Planning Board snag deck that they adopted on September 15th. And that's a requirement to proceed with the project. It talks about the private investment being $165 million. They currently have an ESD grant for 1.5, which is why I gave that number. So the
Yeah.
total project is 166,500,000. They are pledging to create an estimated 55 full-time jobs. So those are all new jobs coming to the community.
Page 4 now, just in case anyone wants to follow them.
And they estimate that they will that the project will create 200 construction jobs, of which approximately 50 of those will be filled by people from Fulton and Montgomery counties. So then in section L, this is a new section from our other approval resolutions because this is a deviation from our existing pilot structure, which the existing pilot structure says it's the formula 485B exemption, which starts at 50%, 45, 40, 35, and on and so forth. But because of the items that Scott has already gone over, we're considering a deviation from this. And so the UTEP has several criterias that are set out that you must go through and identify. Scott and I went through those, and we determined that the ones that were most applicable to this situation were the magnitude and importance of the permanent private sector job creation that is being provided by this project, which is again all new jobs to the community. The private sector investment, obviously this is a large scale project. It has room for additional growth and a long-term partnership with the company, with the community. The public has completely supported the project. There's been no opposition that we're aware of. The other taxing jurisdictions are in support. And then finally, the revenues that the taxing jurisdictions will receive from this project. The upfront payments under the pilot agreement will obviously be very helpful to the school and the town because they won't need to tap into borrowing or the budget to undertake those projects that Scott described. And obviously the long-term payments for a project of this size will create significant tax revenues for the municipalities for a property that's otherwise been off the tax roll for a number of years. So that is the requirement that you need to go through. Clearly, if you want to add anything, remove anything, we can do that. But those were the items that Scott and I kind of went through and discussed. Then the rest talks about the agreements that we're going to enter into with the company, the project agreements, their sales tax exemption. They will be authorized for purchases in the amount of $80,500,000, which results in an exempt amount of $6,440,000. Based on their estimated go live date, if you will, of early 2027, I pushed it to June 30th, 2027 for the expiration of that. That'll be the completion of construction. But obviously that date, they can come back and ask for an extension if needed, but that's kind of the outside date I thought seemed reasonable under the circumstances. Section 4 talks about the pilot and what we envision the structure to be like. So again, it's a deviation from the existing structure, but what we're going to do is, what we're proposing to do is use the existing 45B formula with a 2% escalator based on the current tax rates when the project closes. And then we would get the average, we would take the total of those 10 payments. Then for the town, we would reduce by 150 and then average the remaining 9 years under the pilot agreement. So the 150 would go under the host benefit agreement, and then the remaining 9 would be an average of flat rate payments payable to the town. So they would be prepared they would know what that tax payment was going to be, so they could budget accordingly with that sum of money. The same for the school, but in the school's case, we would take the total 10 years, get the total, take 20% of that total amount, put that in year one per the host benefit agreement. Excuse me, and then average out the remaining 9 years under the terms of the pilot. We haven't talked to the county as to, or I don't know, and so we will resolve if they want flat payments or the traditional.
So the one thing I didn't mention is that the school district also asked if they could have a standardized payment through the remaining pilot. So it'll be whatever that payment, it's not going to escalate. Remember how Dave has expressed concerns with Johnstown School District about this one, it'll be the same exact payment every year, years 2 through 9, right, Kara?
Right, so they can budget according, so they can budget, like, for instance, the examples.
2% increase.
Well, they're gonna get that.
Yeah,
It's just gonna be,
So the school's pilot, for example, in year one, the estimate, if we close today, the pilot payment at a 50% reduction exemption would be $350,261. But in year 10, that payment is estimated to be $795,329. So the school has a preference to average out those payments so they know in each year the amount that they're going to be getting for purposes of budgeting. So that it'll be obviously an average of those figures.
yep,
So just to make it clear for me, is the $150,000 that they're gonna give up front isn't a gift, they're just paying it out over 10 years.
It's, so
They're gonna get a lump sum of.
they're gonna get a lump sum up front.
Yeah, but they're not,
It's not an addition.
They're not
It's
giving
part
it
of their-
away, they're
it's
just-
part of their,
there.
right.
I just wanna be clear about that.
But by law, we can't take that money in a pilot and then pay it over to them, the town being
Yeah.
them. It has to be through a host benefit agreement.
Yeah.
So for instance, the estimates that we did have over 10 years, the town's taxes, the pilot payments, not taxes, but the pilot payments being $635,743. We would subtract the 150 from that and then average out the difference. And the same for the school.
yeah. I mean, the real benefit here is the fact that the school district and the town can utilize that money for whatever they want to utilize for. That's the benefit, so.
I just misunderstood, I thought they were giving the 150,000 up front.
No, it's a credit.
No.
Okay.
Yep. I don't think they'd agree to that, right, Patrick? Do you have any comments, Patrick, since we're talking about this pilot, or do you have any questions?
Appreciate it, Scott. No, I think, you explained it correctly as we understand it. I guess you call it a host benefit. We call it an accelerated lump sum payment.
That's basically what it is.
A portion of the gross amount that we would have otherwise paid anyway as part of the pilot schedule. So, we understand, and our finance department has agreed that, we're amenable to that structure. It does provide some benefit to the town and the school district so they can, undertake some projects. And that's what we indicated. We wanted to support those types of things that will benefit the community. As I spoke with Scott, a couple dominoes still have to fall. We have to, purchase the property and start the project and finish on time and hopefully under budget. But, we're still intending to do that, by first quarter of next year. I'm sorry, first quarter of 27. So, no, I think, we're amenable to the approach. My only questions were related to, once this is approved, what's the schedule for receiving the tax exemption certificate, and then also the draft pilot agreements, because we will have to have our legal team start taking a look at that as well.
Once it's approved, once the project's approved, we can issue sales tax documents immediately. And then, we can start to draft the pilot agreement, so those can be circulated in the host benefit, so you can get those to your team to review as well. But the sales tax can be right away.
Yeah, and the only reason I ask is because we're scheduled to select a general contractor this week, and that's been a reoccurring question on the timing of that certificate.
Okay, yeah, that's no.
Yep, so we'll have that to you for sure.
Great, thank you.
Okay. Anything else you want to go over in the resolution?
Well, so then it explain, no, we've gone through that. Then the administrative fee, legal fees that the company is responsible for, it's also on this spreadsheet. And then the rest is just that we've had a public hearing, we're gonna prepare the documents, we're gonna circulate them. If anybody foils this, Scott will provide them copies.
Yep. Any further questions? Okay, would somebody like to make the motion to adopt a resolution taking certain actions in support of the project NYK Niagara Bottling LLC project?
I'll make the motion.
Mike, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Joe Gillis? Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carried unanimously. All right.
Thank you, everyone.
Yep, we'll be in touch.
All right, have a great day.
Yep, you too. I can go over a couple of project updates on Becker Drive. We're just not gonna take any action today. Okay. So on the Becker Drive, Wesson Group, project expansion, last month, we were waiting for, the City of Gloverville Planning Board to take their, final action with seeker. We cannot take any actions on the application until seeker is completed. They did that on December 4th. We've already held our public hearing. Let's see what else here. Dun-dun-dun. We've already reviewed the application. Couple of updates. I did discuss the pilot with superintendent of Johnstown School District. She was in support. And again, we're not able to take any action today because of our lack of a quorum to do so. But I did contact Wesson and just explain the situation. They were fine. They also just wanted to express they're very appreciative of how quickly we moved, even though we're going to be delayed a month. But again, they said doing so in January is fine with them. So that still meets their schedule. So
Any talk of a host benefit to the IDA with us?
no, we have our application fee and we'll get our pilot structure fee, but. So, okay. Moving on, just a quick update on our National Grid to Rotterdam transition upgrade, and we'll do that as Sue is out. If you recall, during our last meeting, I informed you that we needed to have an appraisal done for the 3 lots that the IDA owns in the Johnstown Industrial Park that would support the initiative of National Grid. We received a proposal from CBRE for $3,500. Last month, we had the mayor of the city of Johnstown here as well. She said that the city would support 50% of that cost. That agreement has been executed with CBRE, and their appraisal will be based upon a yearly land rent, just as the market study was based upon for the National Grid. I do want to just note that former director, Mr. Mraz, was in my office. He was taking a look at our meeting video last month, and he brought to my attention that if you look on the screen there, that parcel C, okay, was actually purchased directly by the IDA from a private landowner. Okay, I'll zoom it in a little bit more for you here. Technically speaking, parcel C is not in the Johnstown Industrial Park. If you were to actually draw a line, parcel C is not a part of the intermunicipal agreement between the IDA and the city of Johnstown. Okay, all of these other parcels, okay, was first acquired by the city of Johnstown and then transferred to the IDA. So A and B, okay, they are part of the intermunicipal agreement with the city of Johnstown. So in the end, we're having the market rent study and the appraisal performed on all three parcels because that's what, that'll be part of the project or the lease with, National Grid, okay? But we'll just have to, I think we're going to take an approach of this is the number of acres. We'll just do the division, okay? I believe, I don't remember exactly the acreage of parcel C, but obviously just looking at it, it's a little bit larger than parcel B. I did inform the mayor of this and she was fine. She understood.
So what was the total lease agreement? So we will get basically a third of the.
So the intermunicipal agreement states that 93% goes to the city of Johnstown, 7% goes to the IDA, but that'll only be based upon A and B. Okay, and then we'll just have to do the math. Pro rata C. So we'll actually the IDA will receive more than we originally had anticipated. So
quite a bit.
Yeah,
I would think.
They're it's good. What's the setting of that? Can Acre, their market study, I think it was $293,000 for the 40-month lease. Okay, that would actually start January 1st of 26. But I think it was several months later that they would actually start paying. But anyway, it's going to be a lump sum, $293,000 for all of that acreage. The IDA cannot enter into any kind of lease agreement without doing an appraisal. So that's why we've engaged CBRE. So just to compare, okay, and then we'll see where that number comes in. Okay, any questions on that? Again, I've already informed the mayor of this. She understands, so that won't be.
Is this parcel C have the old car wash on it?
Yeah, that's. I guess it's a car wash. Looks like some kind of building down there. Okay. Okay. Under new business, our Crossroads Park marketing. Going to page 20. Obviously, we've had the 25 acres listed first with Howard Hanna, utilizing Colleen Ioli Cristofaro. She then changed firms to Gateway Realty Solutions. We transferred along with her. We originally had the listing price at $595. We reduced that to $550, and then this year we reduced it to $375. We have had quite a bit of additional interest just because of the reduction in just $375. Unfortunately, as I noted in our email, we do have a conflict given the fact that Colleen has been elected as a City of Johnstown supervisor. She will start that technically on January 2nd of next year when she is sworn in. I reached out to County Attorney Brock, knowing this, and just requested an opinion on how to proceed. And he is suggesting that we relieve her of that, as well as Gateway Realty Solutions, just because she's still going to continue to work there. Kara recommended that because of the agreement that we have with Gateway, there's an exclusive right to sell listing agreement. And it states that within 60 days after the expiration of the listing period, the owner accepts, which is us, a purchase offer on the property from any person whom the property has been shown during the listing period. The owner will pay the listing broker compensation. Even though she will no longer be a realtor for the property, if January or February, we sign an agreement to, selling the property, that she would still receive the compensation, which
if she showed it to someone, if she had shown it to someone.
So, Kara suggested that, Colleen and I generate a list of, people that she's actually physically shown the property to. Unfortunately, I haven't received that list. She's away in a conference. I would have a list here and then we would all agree to that list. But we're not gonna be able to do that. So I guess at this point, do we obviously take this motion, modify it a little bit, but or can we generate a list for next month or no?
I would just say that I think if the board is okay with it, they can authorize you to agree to that list.
Okay.
With her, that you both agree that those are the entities or people that.
And roughly how many is that?
I know of 5,
But
we actually just met with, a group last Wednesday that, seemed to be pretty interested in the property, so. Okay. All right,
We had another realtor.
yeah, I guess that's the second question
We
after
have
we do this
another
motion.
realtor, so.
Let's make the motion and then we can discuss that, I guess. So would somebody like to entertain the motion as identified in the agenda? But include authorizing myself to work with Colleen, to generate that list and find it acceptable.
Make the motion.
Okay. Made by Joe Simeon, is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Greg, any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carried. Right, so now what do we do? How do you want to proceed? Relist it? Another firm?
We had a second one before, right? And we didn't hear anything back from
As I recall,
Coldwell Banker?
we never heard anything back from Caldwell Banker.
Right. And then we had the other one, so we went.
Well, and she had worked with Howard Hanna before she went to Gateway.
Right. So
And they made the
presentation.
And they made the
Coldwell Banker.
proposal to
Yeah, we first.
assign another agent.
Yep,
Right.
yeah,
So can we go back to Howard Hanna?
we could.
I would think that's,
could we also just get a different agent within that
no.
realtor
I
company?
don't know if that works. Oh,
No,
is it Gateway?
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
because she was.
He's the owner or
No,
No.
Attorney Brock just felt
Yeah.
as though that would still be
a conflict.
muddy.
Okay.
Yep. So,
I would talk to maybe Howard Hanna and maybe reach out to Caldwell Banker one more time, just saying, hey, we're looking to relist it, and they give nothing back, and Howard Hanna showed interest before.
Mm-hmm.
They know and they know the property.
maybe they still have their sign in.
But I mean,
Change that.
I know, but they already know the property, they've worked with that property, so.
Okay.
We used a Triad at one time. We used a different realtor with Triad at one time, right?
Phone,
Pyramid?
Pyramid.
Pyramid, yeah.
Yeah,
Are
we
we happy
Pyramid.
with them or not?
I don't remember.
That was, before my time, but
We
I
could.
remember the sign's still up, I think.
Yeah, I'd have to look and see who we tried to engage with last time, and I'm sure I can find the minutes, but
And you tell,
should we consider waiting the 60 days before we relist it? Or not?
Taking 2 people.
Yeah.
well, I think that would be a part of the well, I guess that's a question.
No, you could
Gary.
relist it
Just relist
today
it.
if you wanted to, but yeah.
But then we
Oh,
pay
not
2
today,
commissions.
December, right,
We
Yeah.
relisted January 1st.
you could relist it January 1st, yes.
Okay. January
with
2nd.
these exclusions for,
With these exclusions, right?
right, and they have to accept them.
So I guess what I'm asking.
So they may
can
not
we
do
take-
much during the first 2 months, thinking like.
Right.
I think
Can we
what,
take 60 days to shop our next listing agent and make a decision on who we would relist with
Yeah.
in 62 days?
so basically, it wouldn't be technically listed.
Wouldn't be
anymore,
listed for
but
60
It'd
days.
be 60 days would expire, release her entirely, and then we re-engage.
On March 2nd.
You like that approach? Okay.
Yeah.
That's the direction we'll go then. Okay, we gotta hurry up here. Next gotta leave shortly. Okay, all good? Okay, consultant agreement, with, Carol Ellis. We've discussed this, already in the past. However, as you know, Carol is retiring as the CFO from the IDA. It's proposed that Melinda Van Pen in the planning department serve as the IDA CFO in 26. To continue that, transition, We include $2,000 in our 2026 budget for these services. And you'll find it in your packet, the proposed agreement that I drafted with Carol to provide those services, and it's for the first quarter of 2026 at a cost not to exceed $2,000.
Make,
Sue, is there a second?
I'll second.
Mike, is there any discussion?
Quick question, I
Yep.
had sent my email, I approve of the draft, but is she facilitating some of the work that could be possibly done right now for
She
the
is.
first report? So we're not gonna have to rely on her to,
Yep. Cheers.
so, kind of discussion that. All in favor?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carried. Thank you.
This is one I gotta talk about.
I know, ruh-roh.
And we have the invoice. It's
Motion to adjourn.
Second,
Yeah, okay. So, would somebody like to make the motion to authorize this payment?
make that motion, please.
Joe Simeon, Sue. Further discussion, all in
I
favor, say aye.
I'll just say I have no relation.
You have no?
No, just based on the.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, okay. Carried. Then we have, the invoice from James Esper Landscape, who's done the mowing out of Tryon. We have an agreement with him for $7,990. Received that invoice on December 3rd. I've also sent the invoice, as well as the agreement to Winstanley Enterprises, who will continue to reimburse the IDA. Once we provide them with a cleared check, they will issue us $7,990. Now, would somebody like to make a motion to authorize this payment? Sue,
I'll second.
Greg,
Never cover cures.
any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. All right, under IDA training, back in October, I received, from the ADO, a special report, on their transparency reviews conducted between 2021 and 2024, on IDA websites. We were not one of the 29, that were reviewed for that time period. I would expect we will be for this time period as we speak. All of the criteria, you'll see I've added into the agenda. Melinda in my office has created a spreadsheet, so that I can, go through this, as well as a few others, maybe even use some AI tools, as Sue has suggested to me, to see if we are in compliance. So all of these things are required to be on the IDA's website.
There's a lot there.
There is a lot here. I'm going to venture a guess that we have most of them, but we will make sure that we have them all.
Okay.
Okay, so, again, there's this big push for transparency, which is a good thing, but it does add more work to the plate. Managed websites, and obviously, you know, we do have the additional dollars in our contract for Betsy to add these things if we need to. Okay. We're gonna get you out of here on time.
I see that.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
Under other business, I wanted to include a couple of the RFIs, and I believe one that Kent reported on. In your packet, I have, you know, two documents. And this is how RFIs come in sometimes, okay? The first one is a project vector. If you look here, this is the document. And this one came directly from ESD. Ron forwarded it to myself and Adam Winstanley. It's for a proposed semiconductor manufacturing company that is looking for a site that would either provide a building or offer a build-to-suit site for a 60,000 square foot building. Based upon this, it was agreed, and the Winstanley Enterprises did submit a response for one of the sites at Tryon.
What about the Crossroad Business Park? I mean, there's 10 acres up there.
20 acres.
I don't know if we could get 60,000 square feet on that site.
Like top of the hill there.
Boy,
Well,
I could, I
yeah,
could look,
yeah.
I could do
I mean, that
Calculation.
sounds like that's what that business park was built for.
it. Yeah, I could definitely look at it, at the calculation. I believe it's still viable.
Mhm.
This one, I did submit, I actually submitted the Johnstown Industrial Park 20-acre site.
Yeah, I would, yeah, I would.
I did, yeah, I already did, I did submit that one. But, I can look at
It
that.
seems like we got a lost orphan
Yeah.
there, where it gets ignored.
Okay. Let me look at it and see if we can squeeze a 60,000 square foot building on there. The second one, basically an email. Again, these things come in all different forms. Ron received an email from ESD with the site parameters for this foreign food manufacturer. Looking for a 10-acre site that would accommodate a 54,000 square foot building with expansion up to 150,000 square feet. Adam, or Stanley Enterprise did respond. This particular site, I didn't add in the agenda, but they wanted to be located where there's existing food manufacturing companies. This one I also sent the 20-acre lot, it's depends on the park. But, we did submit, for this, prior on the bill, but. I do not have an executive session item, do that. So our next meeting will be our annual meeting again on January 13th. At 4 o'clock. And then after that, Joe is buying also dinner at Union Hall.
Yes, they can write a check.
And I will circulate emails in regards to finalizing the list of attendees. And go from there. Somebody would like to make a motion to close the meeting at 9:38.
Make the motion.
Sue, is there a second? Greg, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Merry Christmas, everyone.